to Calimesa Redevelopment Agency. Um, Monday, December 4th, and it's now 6 p.m. Darlene, you want to go ahead and do the roll call?
Sure. Councilmember Cervantes,
Here.
Councilmember Manley,
Here.
Councilmember Molina,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hewitt,
Here.
Mayor Davis.
I'm here. Then we have City Manager Cobo, City Attorney Borrow, City Clerk Curtis, Finance Director Reed, Planning Director Lucia. Welcome back, Miss. I'm glad to see you're healthy again. Public Works Director Monson, welcome from the east. City Engineer Thornton, Fire Chief O'Connell, and Sheriff Captain Peterson. Since I like you so much, Ms. Monson, I want you to lead us in the pledge, if you will. Communications from the public. We have Howard Rees.
Mesa. Yep. News tonight.
All right.
So give me some slack, okay? Okay. First of all, I want to say the city did a great job. The city staff, everybody on the tree lighting ceremonies, it was great. Some major great improvements from last year to this year, so I think everything really went well. So I want to congratulate you on that. The subject I'm going to talk about tonight, some of you people may know about it and you may not. If you do know about it, please act like you don't know so you won't hurt my feelings when I bring it up, okay? The other night we had a town hall meeting and the subject came up about affordable housing. And I think Will over here, the city manager, hit the nail right on the head when he explained why it's hard to get affordable housing built, because even if you build them at the prices to build them, no, the people that can afford them can't afford them still. And so he's right, exactly what he said. The next morning I got my Sun telegram, because I do get a newspaper, guys. I don't go all off on the computer or my cell phone, which I don't even own. But anyhow, in the Sun, there was a big article in there about building affordable houses way cheaper than what they're doing conventionally. There's a place in nonprofit in Southern California partnering with another company, and they're partnering with another company. And in Upland, in January, they're going to build a duplex 3D home. On one end, it's a 1-bedroom and 1 bath. On the other end, it's a 2-bedroom and 1 bath, built 3D. It's going to start it in January, and they're going to have it for occupancy in March. 41 days later, that's how fast they can build those things. So I would recommend that if it's possible that the city would get a hold of these 3D builders and have them build these 3D houses so the people that can afford them can buy them. And that would get the state off our back about having our requirements to have enough housing for the low-income people. So anyhow, that's just what I wanted to share with you guys. So make me feel good by telling me you already know about it.
I have a quick question. I might have missed it. Did you say how much they were building them for?
Well, it's in the article. I'm going to give the article over here to Will So you guys, you guys, I
He
won't
obviously didn't
quote
read it.
anything. And
He didn't read the article, so I can't tell
hey,
you.
hey, I told you guys to be nice. So anyhow, thank you for your time. It's just information I wanted to pass on. I didn't know anything about it until it come out in the paper. Okay.
Thank you.
Pretty good sized article.
Heather?
Can everybody hear me? I would just like to thank him for bringing that up because I do work with a lot of the homeless here in Calimesa. I'm sure some of the officers know them by name as well. George, Lisa, Kelly, Julie, there's a lot of them. And they do live in their car. And the problem seems to be that it's taking about 2 years for them to get into some form of housing. And that's with Section 8 or whatever, but 2 years literally. And so it's always a blessing when they do, but this is an awesome idea, and this is going on in other parts of the country where they're having, whether it's a tiny house situation or a place where they can at least have showers, get a meal. I know in Arkansas it was open in the mornings for a few hours, then open for the nighttime, but during the day they had to be, you know, looking for a job, doing this, that, or the other. But that's a great thing, and the tree is amazing. Beautiful, took my breath away. Again, I'm going to mention that I would like public comments to come at the end because now I'm going back to questions that I had from the 11-6 meeting. So, Will, I did go to some businesses, and the problem that I was having regarding that was we were just late in the game. They would like to have seen this happen by Thanksgiving. So when that Thanksgiving rush came on, that they're ready. So I got to 7 businesses, talked to 5 of them. 2 were just too busy to even bother. But they just said that it's a great idea, but maybe next year we could put a jump on it, get it going sooner, if we could hold that in an interest-bearing account and maybe start this next year more appropriately. I don't know. Wendy, I had more info, or had more questions regarding the vehicle mileage program. So I had more questions about that from 11:20. Meeting, who and what departments are involved after the prospective builder planner pays their fees and deposits. I'm real unclear on that. So I'm feeling like there might be a little bias or a little something going on because I don't know who's running the show after they've paid their fees and deposits for these prospective builders and planners. So, and the meal program, I say go with what works. We're giving away 230 meals with the grab and go. That works. People prefer that. So there's no sense wasting time and money on things that aren't working. And I think that covers me for the last 2 meetings anyway. Thank you all.
Thank you. Let's see, approval of the agenda, consent calendar, and waiver of full reading of ordinances. Get a motion?
I'll go ahead. To approve the agenda, consent calendar, and waive full reading of ordinances.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so it's 5-0. We'll go right to Sheriff Captain comments and reports.
Thank you, sir. You know, I was going to continue kind of some of the crime in the city stuff that I talked about last month as we go into the holidays, but I will say, and I give a lot of credit to her, I met with the finance director today, and it was nice to see not only us on the same page with some of our thinking in just the statistics, how they work in the monetary budget side of the fence, but her showing me that when I came in the front door, she and I calculated, I'll say a 30 to 40% increase in some of those things I talked about when I landed in July of I want more visibility. I don't necessarily, as I met with public safety members, I don't necessarily want to go towards an increase in police services. I want to stay in the confines of what we have, and I started really harping on the crew regarding that visibility piece because that often helps the most in our kind of areas of phone calls, and I will say the calls for service that are more nuisance than crime related. And truly, I give you a hell of a lot of credit. It was a fantastic job on your part. She and I talked budgetary items and things today regarding future planning, but more importantly, truly, it was about a 30 to 40% increase in just some of my vehicle mileage on the move type things for our CSOs and our patrol guys. And so that part of things I do. So that's excellent job. It was fantastic just to see it in black and white. And so those parts of things are working for us. On the other end, the crime statistics side of the fence, we still are kind of consistent in our, what I've noticed are thefts and things going into the end of the year as we approach the holidays. We even finally have had, I will say, the exhaust, what's the word I'm looking for, in the crawling under the car and the, thank you, catalytic converter theft started showing up even in our areas, which, quite frankly, to Hinkle and the rest of our crew's credit, we have been immune to. Those are finally touching us. It's a national issue, I hate to say. And so those part of things, as we had some show up in New Stater Brothers Shopping Center and some of those places, I fight it a lot at the Morongo Casino for our pass area and places where employees are gone in large areas. I fight it at the outlets where employees, again, have to park and are away from their cars for long periods of time. We often don't get it in our kind of shopping center type stuff. And so we had a couple of them that we're starting to see. And so that's a part of, I will say, all of us just being more vigilant in noticing things. Obviously, that's a busy parking lot. I generally don't get that kind of stuff. We get it in more of the remote type places. And so those piece of things call for us, like I've talked about during the holidays, just kind of those paying attention type things. And so that part, that's really what stood out for us as some trends as we were going into the holidays, like I talked about, in some of those alert public safety type things. Our calls for service stayed pretty almost matching the same, of 560 last month, 570 this month, in prior month, October, November. Calls for service for us stayed about the same, and so really it was kind of my message of, it was nice to see coming in for me in us going in from where I started to where we are now, of just, yes, some of that increased visibility matters that we discussed, and some future planning for us as well. So with that, if there's any questions, certainly. If not, that's all I have tonight. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Fire Chief O'Connell.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Start off with our calls for service year-to-date. We have a total of 1,611 calls year-to-date, and last year, the same day, we were at 1,609. So, a couple of calls ahead to the day. For 68% of our runs are still medical aid, with 1,102 calls for service for medical aids directly, and then 334 for 20%. Miscellaneous calls that we generally scoop right into that medical aid category. For 88% of our actual calls for service are medical and or medical related. Leaving us with a total fire responses year to date, 51 actual fires, reportable fires for 3% of our calls. So even though we're the fire department, we're running a very small, which is a good thing. I think our fire prevention and getting in front of those types of calls, those devastating calls, are way down on the scale. And we'll talk about auto aid or mutual aid really quick. We've responded 81 times out of the city this year for 5% of our call volume to our neighbors, both to Ukiah and or City of Beaumont, Riverside County. Changing things up, talk about some other programs and services. Our water tender, which is in service, got placed in service a few weeks ago, had its first deployment to assist the City of Beaumont in Lambs Canyon when they had a fire right the day before, I think, the rain hit. So we're down there and assisted them for a few hours with that. It's a good asset to have into our dispatch group, and we have that available in some of our remote areas where we don't have a great water supply until the infrastructure gets in there. I am very happy to report that all of our efforts over the last almost 2 years we're wrapping the loop on our paramedic program. We have the end in sight. We're looking to go live with paramedic services on City of Calimesa fire apparatus by January 15th. We have the equipment in place, we have the personnel in place, we're doing our final efforts, getting the final touches on our in-kind like agreements with AMR and getting our folks through the last bit of school and the licensing required by Riverside County. So we'll have paramedics in the city on our fire trucks in January, and I'm very happy to report that.
That's a big plus.
So, yeah. And then finally, I'll wrap it up with next week. Next Wednesday night, the 13th, will be our night of giving at Mesa View Middle School. We have the toy boxes that are out various places. I think there's a couple of pop-up events where folks can drop off donation toys, and we're taking, we've received some generous donations. The Firefighters Association's facilitating all that, and we'll be doing the night of giving in conjunction with Mesa View, getting those families in need some relief and get them some attention this year with that toy drive. And pending your questions, that's the end of my report.
And what time did that start?
I believe we're starting somewhere around 4:30. It's 6, it's got us on the schedule from about, I think, 5 to 9. We will wrap it up. So I've got some local businesses bringing some coffee and some cookies, and should be a pretty festive event. So hope to see some of you or all of you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearings. Item number 8. Will?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This item is to introduce a complete rewrite and update of the city's purchasing ordinance to update it to modern standards. It has largely remained unchanged since the city's founding back in 1990. And the biggest challenge of the outdated code has been obtaining bids for certain public works projects. So the California Public Contract Code governs contracting by cities for public works projects, which is defined as a project for the erection, improvement, painting, or repair of a public buildings and works, work in or about streams, bays, waterfronts, embankments, or other work for protection against overflow, street or sewer work with the exception of maintenance or repair, and the furnishing of supplies or materials for any such project. The code states that the city must publish a notice inviting bids at least 10 days prior to the date set for opening of bids for any public project in excess of $5,000. And these notices must be published at least twice, no less than 5 days apart, in a newspaper of general circulation in the city. So for projects of a smaller size, this is a very cumbersome process. It's also difficult for contractors as they are required to obtain bid bonds. As a result, the city often does not obtain favorable pricing for smaller public works projects simply because it's too much effort for bidders to get in, and they then will bid it higher as a result as well. Therefore, staff is recommending that the city adopt the Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act in order to increase the threshold for formal bids. This will allow the city to utilize less formal procedures for contracts of $200,000 or less, and increases the threshold for using in-house labor from $5,000 to $60,000. There will still be a competitive process for work over $5,000, but it will be much more streamlined and less burdensome for potential bidders, allowing the city to access better pricing. Over 225 cities in California have adopted the Construction Cost Accounting Act. Another major change to the purchasing code will formalize the city's ability to utilize piggybacking, which is the process of utilizing cooperative purchasing contracts or recent bids done by other cities or agencies for similar products and services, thus creating more efficiencies in the procurement process without compromising our ability to get competitive pricing. Finally, we are increasing the written quote limit for materials and supplies up to $25,000. Staff will continue to seek out the best prices for items, but we are trying to align efficiency with best value. And one important thing to note is that the threshold for the city manager approval will remain at $10,000 with the new ordinance as it currently stands. This is the lowest of any threshold of any city in the region, but given our size and budget, staff does not see a need to increase the level at this time. So anything over $10,000 will continue to come to City Council for approval. So staff's recommended actions are as follows. conduct a first reading of ordinance number 395, which repeals and replaces the current Calimesa Municipal Code Section 3.15 relating to supply services and equipment purchasing procedures, and adds Calimesa Municipal Code Section 3.60 relating to public projects, and adopt Resolution 2023-73 electing to become subject to the Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I have no speakers list or anything from the public, so I'm assuming there is nothing that, as far as they want to know. And applicant rebuttal, there is nothing to rebut. So I'm going to close the public testimony right now and open this up to a council discussion. You guys got any questions?
Just
I have-
one, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So, in reading this and then hearing you review it, well, I see nothing but positives, efficiency, best value, so, and I didn't note any potential liabilities or downsides. Are there any that you anticipate from it?
None, because a lot of the other changes, besides what I've outlined, is just modernizing language more than anything. It's not really making any substantive changes. I've outlined the substantive changes, and given that we are, now in our 34th year as a city, I think it's time it was time for an update on some of these thresholds. But the biggest one for Public Works, it really does probably improve the process of getting bids. There are a number of projects that we've had that we've struggled to get enough bidders for, and when we finally do get bids, they're very, very high, often exceeding estimates. So I believe this will create a lot of efficiencies for us and get a lot better pricing going forward.
Okay, that's all I need to hear.
Wendy?
No, I mean, reading it was pretty straightforward and explained it pretty well, so, thank you.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to adopt Resolution 2023-73, electing to become subject to the Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act, and introduce and read by title only ordinance number 395, an ordinance of the City of Calimesa, California, amending Municipal Code Chapter 3.15, Supply Services and Equipment Purchases Procedure, and adding Chapter 3.60, Public Projects.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, it's a 5-0.
Yes, so the ordinance will come back on your consent calendar at the next meeting.
Right. Business items. The City Commission appointment. I think this is Ms. Molina.
Mr. Mayor, did you want me to go ahead and give the report?
Do you have to?
I won't take very long, I promise.
Go for it.
So, due to a vacancy, we have, due to a resignation, we have a vacancy on the Parks, Trails, Community Services Commission, which is Councilmember Molina's appointment. So we did receive 2 applications, and those were forwarded to Councilmember Molina, and I think she's ready now to make that appointment.
Yes, I am. I was pleased to read that we had people interested in our commissions, because we're always trying to encourage people in the community to give us their input. That's how we work together well. And the 2 applications were good ones, but my position, let me take that back, let me start over again. My decision was to appoint Ray Pacta to the commission. As long as I've lived here, I've only heard his name related to trails. Anything about trails, Ray is considered the community expert and has the history. I guess other people think so too. And so for that reason, I'd like to place Mr. Pacta on the Trails Commission, representing Calimesa.
Okay. So we just need to adopt the resolution approving the ratifying her appointment of Mr. Pacta.
you want me to make that?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get to that right page. Okay, so, I move that we adopt resolution number 2, I'm sorry, wrong one. My dog tore my council packet in, it's in pieces. Give me one. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Page 71.
Mine's in pieces. Okay, okay. So, I would like to appoint Ray Proctor as a member to the Parks, Trails, and Community Services Commission, and that the city council ratify this appointment by a majority vote, which I hope to get, and adopt resolution number 2023-71, providing for the appointment.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. Ray, you want to come up and I'll swear you in. If I can read this.
Well, this works good right now.
Okay, Ray. Let's see. Give me your right hand up in the air. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support
that I will
and
support
defend the Constitution of the United States
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
And I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or person of evasion,
or person of evasion,
and that I will and faithfully
and that I will and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Okay.
For everybody's attention, Ray had a birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
9-0.
Is Miss Smith here tonight? Ronna Smith? Johnny? Is Ronna Smith here? Ronna Smith? Is that you? I'd like to thank you for applying as well. We love it when... Can you come to the podium? I just wanted to thank you for applying and offering to be of assistance to our city. Thank you so much. Ray has tons of experience, and that was the only reason that, for my selection. But I wanted to thank you myself personally for taking the time to apply. It takes, and I wish more people would do that. So I just wanted to thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
And there's always
Okay.
spots coming
Yeah.
Oh,
open
yeah.
with things, so if you keep
sorry?
watch. I said there's always positions coming open,
Uh-huh,
so if you keep watch, somebody,
Yes.
we might have another commission you can be on.
will do.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Thank you.
A strategic plan update.
Brings me back to those days, doing the presentations. Okay, good evening, members of the City Council. I wanted to provide an update to our strategic plan, which was adopted several years ago. This is something that we haven't done, but it's a very important document, and I think it's important for number one, for the public to understand that we have the strategic plan, and also the steps that we have taken to accomplish the goals within the strategic plan. But the question really kind of just comes up is, what is a strategic plan? It's a plan of action that it brings, and this is according to the ICMA, the International City Manager Association, I should say. Plan of action that brings the community together, provides clarity of purpose and priorities, and guides the organization's actions in achieving its goals and objectives. So back in February of 2020, the council held a workshop. It was facilitated by Henry Garcia of HR Dynamics and Performance Management. The city council and city executive team was involved. And as you'll note, and I'll tell you, and I'll say this, I think at the end of the presentation, is there have been a lot of changes since this time. We've have 2 new council members since then, and many new members of the executive team, including myself. So the goals of the workshop were to get a feeling for what council wants and to achieve and limitations, to work together as a team, to get information out to the community, how we get things done, and what they want for the future, to talk about how staff can move things forward and get the plan done, to hear each other's ideas, to establish clear goals and priorities and come up with a plan for implementation, and to have a plan of priorities with timeframes for staff to execute to meet the city council's expectations. So as a result of that, the city adopted the strategic plan in October of 2020 and identified 5 target areas, establishing 23 goals. And there was a vetting process which each council member got to pick 2 goals for each priority area, and each executive member selected their top 2 priority goals. So anything that received 4 or more votes was considered a level 1 or top priority. Anything that had 2 to 3 votes was a level 2, and anything that had 1 vote was considered a level 3 priority. So the 5 target areas are listed on the screen here: quality of life, economic development, infrastructure, community engagement, and financial stability and resources. So let's get right into the goals. So what I did was I ranked them. I actually go by the top priority. I'm going to go through each goal, and I'm going to present to you it in priority order. So the first one was to develop a plan for temporary and permanent office space. So on this one, we have completed, just on the other side of the wall behind the council is our City Hall expansion. That was completed. It was not completed within the time frame, but COVID delays and some construction delays, but it is done now and includes a server room. The library expansion is in progress, and our goal is to break down the first part of 2024. So we're really getting close on that. And it was originally conceived as a modular building, but actually it's going to be a stick build, and it's going to be a new and larger building. So we're really excited about that. Some additional things as far as because another goal that this is related to is staffing. And so the only way to add the staffing was to be able to have the space to put people. So we're working on a remodel of the community development annex right now. That was originally just supposed to be a recarpeting, but since we're going to have to take everything out, we figured this would be a good time to reconfigure it to make it more effective and efficient. And also the construction of a public works courtyard. As you know, the parking lot behind City Hall is pretty crowded. And we are adding vehicles and equipment, so we want to make sure that we have proper space for those things, and we do need additional space for storage. So we own the old post office just to the north of where the new library is, and so the idea would be to repurpose the old post office for additional workspace and to build a storage facility behind that and basically have a corporate yard. Another one was to maintain and improve our transportation systems and roads. So we have completed, except for the portion on Sandalwood Drive, the first pavement management improvement, and we'll actually be returning to the council very shortly. Our goal is to get back to actually the next council meeting to discuss our next recommended round of streets. So that will be coming forward. Funding is from a combination of the American Rescue Plan Act, Measure A, and General Fund. Continue work on all of our interchanges, another action under this goal, and so we have our interchange listed here. Obviously, Cherry Valley is the one that's farthest along. It's also probably the biggest need. As you know, the interim improvement, the traffic signals are complete. We did have some issues with the signal lights last week. Caltrans did come out and did do some reprogramming. That was not a city project. This was as a result of the shop-off warehouses off of Cherry Valley Boulevard. That was a condition of approval for them. And I'd like to note that was a county condition of approval because the county approved that project. The city of Calimesa did not because it is not located in the city of Calimesa. The ultimate improvements are in right now. The PA&ED phase, we're just waiting for the notice of determination 30-day period. Once that period is elapsed with no protests, we'll be able to roll right into the PS&E and right-of-way acquisition phase. For Singleton Road, we are hoping that now, I think that's probably been pushed back till July of 2024. This has again been this is the quote-unquote streamlined process through Caltrans. How long has it been, Mike? We know it's not streamlined. Yeah, that's for sure. So we are continuing to get that worked out, and we're hoping to get that going in the middle of next year. And finally, County Line Road in Sandalwood, we have proposals for the first phase, which is known as the project initiation document, but we do need additional funding to move forward with those. And one of those will be Sandalwood. We're hoping to be developer funded. Another top priority goal in our infrastructure is to improve and develop technology. The city's website, we launched that back in April 22. Along with that, there's another goal later on that we'll talk about with branding that's related to that one. Technology staffing, we did hire a new IT vendor. They started in November of 2020. However, that contract is up next year, right? And that's something that we're probably going to take another look at to see if this is the right vendor for us or if we need to go in a different direction. And our GIS system, it's available. There's a public view on the website that's available for the public to view. So that's been that's an ongoing thing as layers continue to get added. Some additional items that we're considering bringing forward to the council is permitting software. Right now, it's a very manual process of how we process things between our different departments. And so we really want to bring something that will kind of make our process a lot more streamlined and efficient. Because that will, number one, that will speed up the process. It'll help us know exactly where things are, and it'll help the applicants too, because they'll be able to check statuses online, and that's very important. The last two, especially the citizen reporting app, that is potentially something that we could bring forward in the future to allow our residents to communicate any issues to us. I think that's pending some maybe additional personnel that we would need in Public Works, because right now. They have all they can handle and then some. They do an excellent job, but adding this layer on top of that and being very reactive would probably be a little bit much for what we have right now. So that would probably be in coordination with that. Similarly, there are apps that also allow us to do push notifications through the application, through email, and through text. That could be an alternative to our social media platforms, that's where we're currently pushing out information right now. Going into our second priority goals, developing and implementing a park master plan. The RFP for a master plan has not happened yet. One of the things that did kind of derail that a little bit was COVID, but I think it's also important to remember that when you're looking at these type of initiatives, once you have that plan, then there's going to be, maybe some action that's needed on the back end. And so we want to make sure that we're going to be in a position that we can do that. A lot of our parks right now are focused on new development. We do have, as the other item we have there is the phase 2 of 4th Street Park, which has been renamed Mountain View Park. We're currently in plan check with that. We're very close to bringing that forward for final approval and then going out to bid. So we're really excited about that project. The City Council did establish the Parks and Trails Reserve as a commitment to our parks. And also, a few months back, there has been discussion about beginning reviewing our trails map as well with the Parks, Trails, and Community Services Commission. Cultural events, the actions in the strategic plan say they were deferred due to COVID-19. That's one thing I didn't point out is that right after we had our workshop, the next month, everything shut down. So that obviously is going to have a big impact on a strategic plan like this. However, despite that, we've accomplished a number of things just this year. We had the state of the city, which Darlene, I can't say it enough, but you did an outstanding job with that. Popsicles in the park, trunk or treat, Earth Day. We had an expanded tree lighting this weekend. I mean, we've just done a ton of events. We had our opening of our park. So we definitely have made a lot of strides in this area in the last year. Maintain and enhance public safety and police and fire. We've made strides in both of those things. One thing that the Sheriff's Services Ad Hoc Committee has talked about was trying to get citizens on patrol going back again. I know that Captain Peterson and our fire chief are working diligently on a plan to try to promote that program and really get it back going again, and get some help for Ed Clark, our current COP commander. Developing a new brand image. That's what I talked about before with the new website. We had our new logo, which you see on the podium here. Community engagement, expanding the use of social media, which we have done. And so one thing that we are working on now on staff is develop a social media policy. So we want to make sure that how we're using our social media is effective, and that it's not being used as a tool for maybe misinformation out there, because it can be weaponized that way. So the purpose of it is to push out information and give information to the public, and we want to make sure that it's effective for that. So the social media policy will help with that. The city website also falls under this. I launched the City Manager podcast. I didn't do a November episode, I got a little busy, but I do plan on coming back with an episode later this month. Pursuing grants for revenue streams. There's a number of grants that we've gone after, and this is not an all-inclusive list. So the staff has done a great job with that over the last few years of bringing money into the city. It's very important to do that, especially a city our size. We have limited resources and limited revenue streams, so anything we can do these monies to be able to do capital projects and provide additional services to our community is always very important. Maintaining fiscal solvency and funded reserve policy. We've adopted a balanced budget. Even through the COVID years, we were able to do that. We do review our reserve policy. We've been able to hit that target and then some without any issue. We will be bringing a expanded reserve policy for the future to cover things such as, we do have currently a catastrophic or a contingency reserve. We have a vehicle reserve. We want to add things for like capital projects and technology. There are other reserve pots that we want to add for the city council's consideration. Those are tools that we can use to develop our budget, and it's really important for staff to have that clear direction so that when we're putting our budget together, we have clear goals in that realm. And in addition, tonight the city council updated the purchasing ordinance as well. Develop jobs. We had the contract with Henry Garcia that has since lapsed, so I'm overseeing those efforts now under economic development. So recruit and attract business and develop a plan. We have a very good working relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. We had an agreement with them from September of 2020 to June 2022 that was funded through CARES Act funds. We collaborate with them on the state of the city. And so now we're working together on the Shop Local gift card program. So I just want to give a quick, I won't wait till my update to do that. I'll just give that report real quick. Obviously the rollout of the program has been slow going. We haven't had a lot of businesses signed up. That's probably partially because of what Ms. Carruthers had mentioned earlier tonight in terms of the timing. But I'd like to say, though, that this program is an ongoing program. So the program will continue well beyond the holiday season. So it can be used at any time. You can purchase at any time. And the buy one, get one will go live. They usually don't want that to happen until we have about a dozen businesses on board. So until that happens, our planning tech, Gabe Aguayas, has been working on trying to get businesses. We've been working with the Chamber of Commerce. I've been going out and knocking on doors and making phone calls and emails and things like that to try to get our businesses signed up. I think once they understand the program, once they understand the benefits of it and understand that this is really just the city trying to help businesses out, there's no ulterior motive, I think just that additional communication will help, because I think they said, well, what's the catch here?
Yeah, what
The-
are the strings?
Right, and there really isn't any, because the program really is supposed to help our businesses, and it's just it's just as simple as running a credit card in your credit card machine. That's really that's all that's needed. So I think once businesses understand how easy it is to sign up and how easy it is to administer it, there's no, requests for reimbursements or thing like that. It's just run through their credit card systems. I think that once they understand how easy it is, I think we'll start to get more signed up. So developing community aesthetics, we haven't really started on that. I do want to point out, I think one of the things I've been thinking about is maybe updating our street signage, incorporating our new logo. Because right now our street signs do have our old logo on them. So that's something that I'd like to look at. Just going prospectively, I'm not saying go out and replace all the signs we have. Come up with a new design as we replace signs, as we add new signs with new development that would incorporate the new logo, and you just do it over time. Also, I think we're going to bring an item, I think, to the council's attention, is the electronic sign at Calimesa Boulevard in Myrtlewood. As people know, driving northbound, they see that sign. It's all messed up. It's very grainy. You can't read what it says. If you would notice, it's on the sun side where people are looking at it. So we fixed it in the past, and then after a couple of years, it goes bad again because it's just the sun is just basically baking all of the electronics. So I think we're going to talk about that. The sign is no longer is no longer able to be supported. It'd be quite expensive to replace it, and quite expensive to fix it, and it would only be a temporary fix as it stands. So Darlene and I will be bringing up an item to discuss that and kind of get direction from the council as to what we developing a plan for staffing. So we have added a number of positions. The third BC, the senior accountant position, which we didn't have a successful recruitment with that, but we actually ended, I think, with something better. We did promote Alana Figueroa to an accountant, and then we were able to bring over Heather Sturgeon, our admin assistant, over into finance, and she's been working out very well there. So actually, we were able to promote from within, so that I think we actually have a pretty good product. We also added our planning tech that we've talked about before. We also added previously before that, we've added the finance director, reclassified our planning manager to planning director, added the executive assistant position, which has been a great success because we were able to get Asa Benson in the fold, and she's been outstanding. So additional actions that we may want to talk about that we'll be bringing forward, I just wanted to give the council a heads up, is we probably will, like I mentioned earlier, looking at staffing, again, to make sure that we're able to service our parks, our streets, and our facilities. Developing, enhancing public-private partnerships. Again, the digital gift card program is an example of that, but I think there's other things that we can do as well that we'll continue to look at. And also part of that was establishing a business council. There are pros and cons to that kind of thing. And again, these are third priority goals too. I think it's important to remember. And so that doesn't mean that we don't implement them, but I think that when we look at what we want to do to address these things, we probably will address a lot of that with the next. But if things come up and ideas come up, we'll certainly look at those as time goes by. Workshops, we've done a number of workshops. We've had the land use workshop, which was a success. We've done workshops on the housing element, the BOLD program, and I think that public education is very, very important to understanding the why. I think that people, maybe that's where the disconnect happens a lot, is that people don't understand the why of what we do, and so I think bringing these things together, these things forward, definitely helps with that. Updating, we've actually accomplished this one. We at least had the first go at it. We're going to bring that back in January to have a workshop with the council to discuss that further, with the goal of possibly adopting the new fees on July 1st, 2024. And so obviously with that, we had the consultant to perform that analysis, and we accomplished that. developing a formal debt management policy. Staff has reviewed various strategies for long-term pension cost management. Fortunately, the city of Calimesa is actually in a lot better position from a pension perspective than a lot of other cities. We're a lot more funded than other cities are, and as a result, our unfunded liability expenses are very much under control. We're very lucky and very fortunate to be in that position. A lot of cities aren't. And so I think some of these ideas of shortening the amortization for a pension debt, looking at a Section 115 trust probably isn't the right fit for us because we are well funded. So obviously that's subject to change as CalPERS makes changes to their asset mix and maybe the changes in their discount. But for now, I think we're in a really good position. Developing a revenue enhancement plan. So these were kind of related to two things, grants and updating and maintaining our fee schedule. So I just wanted to provide this part, and I can provide this slideshow to the council, maybe this page. This just gives you a really good overview of the different goals and priorities that we have and kind of where we are with them. So that'll just give you kind of an idea of kind of a snapshot of where we are currently. So February will mark 4 years into the plan. I guess actually October of next year technically would, because that's when we adopted it. But we had the workshop back in February of 2020. Again, a lot of the plan we had to adjust really quickly after we had the workshop due to COVID. But despite that, and despite our limitations, our staff and this city has done a lot and has accomplished a lot in the last few years through the strategic plan. And as we mentioned earlier, new leadership since the plan was adopted, 2 new council members, new city manager, 6 new members of our executive team. So I think Darlene Gertis and Mike Thornton were the only 2 left from the executive team that took place at the last public strategic planning session. So I think with the November 2024 election, I think that a good timing would be to, after that, review and possibly talk about having renewing our strategic plan and looking at that again. And I do propose to have another update in 6 months. It'll be shorter than this presentation. We'll just kind of give you a snapshot in time as to where we are compared to today. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank you for bringing this item forward. I know we all spent a lot of time on this, and time has gone by because of COVID, but I think it's good for the community to see that all the input we get from them comes through with this item. We all look at our priorities as a city and take them seriously and hope that they see that we're doing our best to run an efficient and fiscally sound city and program. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question regarding our roads. Is that on our website on what our plan is, what roads are going to be done next? And
So we do have a website, we do have a page on our site that talks about our pavement management plan. So the first, the staff reports that led up to the streets that were selected are available for download. We ultimately, the council ultimately selected the streets that were done, but as far as the next set of streets, that hasn't been decided yet. So we're going to bring that item forward to the council, hopefully at our next meeting. We're going to point out the streets we have done, the streets that weren't done as part of the initial proposal, and we have some additional ones for the city council's consideration.
thank you.
Just also want to make a comment. You mentioned getting us a copy of those slides. I would very much be interested in
Yeah,
having
I will
that.
send it. I will send those out.
I know a lot of discussion, those of us who were part of this workshop, we put a lot of discussion and time and effort into identifying the goals, and I'm happy to see the progress that we've made and are making on those goals, and some significant progress on some of them. And with the change in management and the change in some key positions, that hasn't been forgotten, and progress is continuing to be made, and so that's important, and I'm happy to see that that is continuing to be a priority, and we're continuing to make progress and will continue to make progress on these efforts. So thank you, and I look forward to accomplishing much more with these endeavors. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and have the city council receive this and file an update on the city's strategic plan. We'll move on. Okay, we're going to go to convene joint city council and successor agency to Calimesa redevelopment agency meeting. Joint business items. Darlene?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As you know, the first meeting of December of every year, we are to do our reorganization of our council, and that's where we are tonight. The council must meet annually to choose one of its members as mayor and another of its members as mayor pro tem, and nominations for the office of mayor and mayor pro tem may be made by any member of the city council and need not be seconded to be effective. Confirmation of the selection shall be by 3 or more affirmative votes. In the event that no person receives 3 or more votes in the selection process for one or both offices, the selection process shall be repeated immediately, provided, however, that the 2 persons receiving the highest number of votes in the preceding selection process will be the only nominees for the office to be filled. If upon the repeating the selection process no person has been duly selected, the selection may be continued to the next regular meeting. And of course, council can certainly leave things the same if that's their desire. So with that, I will open the floor for nominations for the office of mayor.
I would like to nominate Bill Davis for mayor and Wendy Hewitt for mayor pro tem. I think they've done fantastic jobs in those positions, and I would look forward to seeing if they would accept those nominations in those roles again.
Are there any other nominations for mayor and mayor pro tem? Okay, then I will, all in favor for for Bill Davis for the office of mayor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And all in favor for Ms. Hewitt as mayor pro tem?
Aye.
You guys do understand what I just did, don't you? I can be very irritating to the public, you understand that?
We understand that.
Yeah. We have an attorney that takes care, yeah, he gets me in. Okay, no, thank you very much for the vote of confidence.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to the successor agency. Currently, the successor agency chair is Mr. Cervantes, and the vice chair is Ms. Hewitt. Do I have any nominations for agency chair?
Jeff can still carry it on if he wants, you know, and it's, there's a nomination, and I don't know, Wendy, you want to play that game too?
I mean, I don't think I did much with it. If somebody else wants it, it's fine. If not,
Anybody
I'll do
that
it.
actually,
Fine.
okay,
All right. I'll do it.
there's your
Okay.
nominations.
All right. All those in favor of Mr. Cervantes as chair of the successor agency?
Aye.
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 And all those in favor of Ms. Hewitt as the vice chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darlene. I'm going to adjourn the successor agency to the Calimesa Redevelopment Agency and reconvene the city council. Mayor and council members' reports and county regional meetings and conferences. John?
I just want to thank everybody for their participation in the events for over the weekend. So the tree lighting and the parade, as was already stated, they were very successful. So I just want to thank all the staff. There was a lot of work that went in both of those, and also the chamber on the parade. So they were well attended. I thought the parade was great. There's quite a few people out there along the parade route, and there's a lot of work behind the scenes to get that going. So I was happy to see that the community came out as much as it did for both of those events. So thanks everybody. That's all I have.
Linda?
Yes, I'd like to do the same. Thank you, everyone. It was a lot of fun, and the tree lighting especially. I attended 2 meetings since the last council meeting. On November 27th, I attended the RCTC, which is Riverside County Transportation Commission Budget and Finance Committee meeting, and the items were routine, but one item was of significance, and I'm going to read it because it's a little confusing. I shared it with Will, and it was a corrective action that is going to affect our city. Our CTC is the Transportation Commission. It's not the only one, but it's the one that governs us, our city. And the feds took a corrective action and want SCAG and our CTC to come up, and Caltrans to come up with a new approach for prioritizing Riverside County projects. This is significant because there's not enough money to fund all of the projects. The larger projects like grade separations and rail projects, those will probably not be affected, but the smaller projects will, and that's where I feel it will hurt us. And so I'm just bringing it to our attention because it's something that will affect us in the future. And they're going to be doing, the commission has to develop a new approach for prioritizing Riverside County projects for the SCAG call, which is going to be in January. So I just wanted to share that. And then on November 28th through the 30th, I went to Washington, D.C. with the RTA CEO, and we talked to 2 congressmen and several transit agencies to work on legislation to protect our operators who are being assaulted. We're trying to get legislation to protect them, much like the airlines did for anybody who assaults people on the airline. So that's something we're working on, safety for our operators as well as people who ride the bus, and also funding for our cities. We met with Congressman Takano and Calvert, who know our city, know Mr. Davis, and sent their hellos. So it was a quick trip. It was only 3 days. It was very cold there, very windy. I was so glad to touch ground because the planes were, tipsy-turvy. But that was fantastic. So, and then I just have one announcement for the future, and that's this Friday. At the RTA is holding an event to open up the mobility hub in Riverside, downtown Riverside, where the Metro Rail station is. There's a new Veterans Monument there, but this is where people go to connect with other modes of transportation. So it's a big deal for Riverside County and people who take mass transit. It's an easy way to make the connections, and so that event will be Friday at 10 a.m., so hopefully people can come and participate in that. It'll be great for people taking public transit, getting people out of their cars and traveling on mass transit. And that's all I have. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. Cal Cities is, our city is a member of Cal Cities, and today Darlene and I went to a meeting. Darlene and I will represent the city of Calimesa for Riverside County, Cal Cities for the next year. I've been rotated to the president position, and Darlene will, and I will, as a team, will lead the monthly meetings and speak on behalf of Calimesa, as well as work on bills that hurt our cities and are good for our cities. But it's a great opportunity for our city. We look forward to hosting a meeting. They meet every other month, I'm sorry. And so I just wanted to share that, and I wanted to thank Darlene for stepping up. She has a busy schedule as it is, but she's agreed to do that, so thank you for that. And that's all. Thank you.
Short straw syndrome. Yeah. Congratulations, Darlene. Wendy?
Congratulations, Linda.
Yes.
I did attend a WRCOG monthly meeting today, executive meeting. There wasn't a whole lot. We had a closed session at the beginning, and then they went over a regional food rescue program that according to SB 1383, outlines reducing organic waste disposal by 75%. They went over that, and then they went over climate pollution reduction grant funding. What they're trying to do, the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act established the Climate Pollution Reduction Grants Program, which funds both planning and implementation grant opportunities. $1 million was allocated to the Riverside San Bernardino Metropolitan Statistical Area to prepare a priority climate action plan. Following submittal of the PCAP, the Riverside San Bernardino MSA will be eligible to submit an application for implementation grants. This subsequent application is due in April, the 1st of April. So they went over that, and you know, hopefully they can get some grant funding for, you know, there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, climate change and pollution reduction. So we'll see what happens with that. And their next meeting is January 10th, and it's going to be at Western Water. I think that's what it's called.
Okay, thank you. Jeff?
Yeah, briefly, two things. So I attended the town hall meeting here, right, in this location with our California State Senator, Rosalicia Choa Bogue, and it was, I thought, very well attended. And we had a lot of members from the community here who got to ask questions and voice their concerns, and she took the time, quite a bit of time. I think I left at 8:45, and things were still seemed to be going strong, but I had to go pick up. I don't know how late it ended up going.
9:30.
What's that?
9:30.
9:30. So I started at 6:30. So several hours of community engagement, which I thought was just terrific. So I invite you to take advantage of those opportunities if you can. If you have questions, concerns, those are the venues to voice those and to ask those questions and just to get educated. So I thought she did a great job doing that too. And then just secondly, I had an RCA meeting today as well, and a lot of it was also pretty routine, and the most substantive things happened in closed session, which I can't comment on, but there was a fun thing that I'll share for those interested. RCA is going to be partnering with the Girl Scouts. It's kind of a cool thing on developing youth programs to educate youth on habitat conservation, on species, and just the local environment and habitats here in western Riverside County. It's going to be called the 146 Project, 146 Project. The 146 represents the number of protected species covered by the MSHCP. So pretty cool to be partnering with the Girl Scouts. I guess future partnerships with the Boy Scouts forthcoming too. So there you go.
Interesting. Educate our youth.
There we go.
Turn her against society. I also was here for Ms. Bogue, and really impressed with just how sharp she is and how hard she has to work to get anything done in our system, because she is of the minority as far as Republican Democrats. You know, it's just very hard, and she has to sort of work with other people and everything else, and sort of get a balance to get anything done. And she's doing very well. It's amazing what she's gotten done. The tree lighting, I was very surprised at the participation, and I want to congratulate the staff on just how hard they worked and what they had to put out to do it. Still trying to figure out who paid for that. And then the parade was phenomenal. You know, it was very well orchestrated and a little noisy at times. We had a lot of fire engines, a lot of hollering, honking, and lots of sirens.
Yeah.
But everybody with the lights and everything else was very well organized, and it ran very smoothly. You know, so. And with that, I'll give it over to the city manager and see if you got anything to say.
Couple of things real quick. I just also want to echo my thanks to the staff. They knocked it out of the park once again on Friday night. Just amazing how the entire team comes together to pull off an event like that. so successfully with, it was, again, very well attended, and thank you for the staff for all of that, and also for our participation in the Christmas parade, and to our public works staff for the opening and the closing and the opening of Calimesa Boulevard to facilitate the parade as well. I do want to mention, kind of following on the heels of Councilmember Molina's announcement, that the Riverside Division will be hosting their meeting next Monday, December 11th at 5:30 p.m. at the Eastville Community Center. So, that's when Ms. Molina will be installed as the president of the division. So if anybody would like to attend that, please contact Darlene, and she'll get you signed up for it. So again, that's next Monday, December 11th, 5:30 p.m. at the Eastville Community Center. And lastly, the City of Beaumont and RCTC will be hosting a traffic relief plan workshop this Thursday, December 7th at 5 p.m. So it'll be at the City of Beaumont Civic Center. Even though it's in the City of Beaumont, this is a plan that affects the entire county, including the City of Calimesa. There is potential for project funds for our projects that we have in our city. And so to get more information on the plan, it's at trafficreliefplan.org. And so take a look at that, and if you're interested, you can attend, even though it's, again, it's the City of Beaumont, but I think they won't mind if Calimesa residents come and crash their party. So it's, again, this Thursday, December 7th, 5:30 p.m., or excuse me, 5 p.m. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, what do we got here, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Mayor, we have 3 closed sessions identified on the agenda pursuant to Government Code Section 549, 57.6, and 549.7.
Okay, with that, I'm going to close the meeting down and adjourn to the closed session. And I want to thank everybody for attending and listening to us and talking when you had a chance. Thank you. Good night.